that tool of like my Google Calendar is really invaluable, but I use it in concert with this. This is about life design and life planning. That's what's happening in here.
Yes.
And we get more into that in other stages, but we're talking most about picking a planner. But why a hard copy planner is really for your planning, right? And the digital
Yes.
is really for your like appointments or calendaring.
Or your
And
Zoom links,
yeah,
or
your Zoom, right? Exactly. Like,
or
yeah,
to set digital alarms, right?
right. Yeah.
On this part 2 of episode 77 of the Harness the Power of Planning podcast, we talk about how to pick the perfect paper planner. And what do we mean by perfect? We mean perfect for you, because there is no one planner that works for everyone. You have to figure out what works for you. And we walk you through how to do that in an easy 3-step process, starting now.
Hi.
Hey, everyone. Happy to be here. I'm Alegre.
I'm Natasha.
And together we are Beyond Your Wildest Dreams, or BYWD, as we often say. And we are all about helping you prioritize yourself, save time, and accomplish your goals. And why is that important?
Why is that important? Well, I don't know. The Surgeon General said that being an American family parent is super stressful. So I don't know. Maybe it's important to your health and not to your mental health, your physical well-being. Yeah, prioritizing yourself. And this doesn't just mean spa days and,
No,
pedicures
not at
and
all.
stuff. Yeah. I mean, it could mean that, and that's fun and that's nice, but we're talking about like the nuts and bolts everyday kind of.
Yeah,
Self-care.
absolutely. Self-care as healthcare. And
let's normalize
actually,
that.
yes. Yeah. And I just actually want to give a plug for a book that I just finished reading called Hidden Valley Road.
Ooh.
And it's about a family with 12 children, 6 of whom were diagnosed as schizophrenics. And I think for me, the biggest takeaway from this book was how delicate mental health can be, like how stress can affect mental health, can have long-term consequences, I guess is the thing. And so, you might think like, oh, well, I'll slow down when I retire, or I'll slow down when it comes to the weekend. But, it's kind of like drinking water. You can't put off drinking water until Sunday and then like, I'm going to drink 55 glasses of water in one day.
Good luck with that. Yeah.
Yeah. And
especially since, just tidbit quick, you're not,
yeah,
what if the water you drink today hydrates you like 3 days from now, so it doesn't hydrate you today. So you just got to do it all the time. Same thing with the self-care you do today has lasting effects. Now, I'm not saying it gives you effects 3 days from now, but you can't just squeeze it in, like you said, once a month or something and think that that's going to be enough, or just take care of yourself mentally, like you said, on the weekends. There has to be ways that you can build it into your everyday, to somehow.
Yeah. And our biggest tip for that is creating a morning ritual, which, if you've been with us before, here is our bouquet of books. For anyone listening, we also upload this audio to the Harness the Power of Planning podcast. And so how to create a morning ritual is the topic of our book, Rock Your Morning. And all these books are 45-minute reads, and they are workbooks. So you won't just get the theory, we will actually get you working on the thing that will help you. And one of the Surgeon General's recommendations has to do with creating these sort of rituals. And actually, if you go to our website, hold on, let me find it, bywdreams.com. Let me pop it up on the screen. You can sign up. We actually read this amazing 70-page study on parental burnout. I guess we did this earlier this year. We read, you don't have to. And if you go to our website, you can get a 1-page cheat sheet of the study. And basically we summarize it, and we summarize its suggestions, a lot of which we captured, honestly, in our book, which we wrote almost 3 years ago.
Right.
So
yeah, that cheat sheet is like, if you're somebody who needs evidence or support of like, hey, you know what I mean? Like, just,
which we get it. We need that.
I need that. It's like, why should I get up earlier? Right. And by the way, your morning ritual does not necessarily mean you have to get up at 5 a.m. I just wake up at 5 a.m. anyway. Thank you, perimenopause. So I'm like, I'm up. So, I'm so lucky like that. But if you need reassurance or science-backed, study-backed information that shows why it's important for you, if you won't make those changes until you really see like the hard facts numbers, take a look at this cheat sheet, take a look at this one-page cheat sheet. It will give you all the evidence you need to back up, starting these new habits, because sometimes I'm definitely someone who needs to have that intellectual information to motivate me to, make those changes and maybe get my butt out of bed a little earlier to go ahead and start, do that meditation practice where it would be just so much nicer to stay in bed sometimes.
Yeah, and you never know where that little extra piece of information can come from. Oh, by the way, I forgot to do one thing. I want to
Oh,
start every podcast with a poll from this little quote deck I have. So, okay.
love it.
Backing it up, let's look
Welcome.
at what, and I have no idea what it is. So I'm just going to pull from the back and let's see. If there's something that makes you laugh, then every day's going to be okay. Tom Hanks. I love to laugh.
Oh,
I
yeah, laugh.
love to laugh. Ha, 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 ha. That's Mary Poppins.
Mary Poppins. Yeah.
Yes. So there you go.
Well, thanks, Tom Hanks, who's like whatever the equivalent of, he's America's sweetheart, whatever the equivalent of that is, America's dad or whatever. Although that might be Tim Walz now. But
Yeah. I actually saw a comedy show last night, and I'll just leave you with a quote from Aparna Nancharla because I just think she is so funny. If you haven't seen Aparna Nancharla, check her out, Aparna. And she 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 said that she has 2 cats and how living with cats is kind of like living with models. They just kind of swan around and drape themselves on furniture and come up to you and I'm like, "I'm hot. What do you bring to the game?" It was so brilliant. So Aparna Nancharla, very funny woman. Okay, so you never know where that one piece of information that's going to make you do the thing that you've been thinking about forever. For instance, if you've listened to Natasha and I, then you know that for years I have been trying to get to bed earlier, and it's something I've really struggled with. However, the one piece of information that totally changed this for me, and I remember because it only happened about 6 weeks ago, and it was like, boom, the light went off. I'm like, okay, now I'm doing it. Was that so your brain releases chemicals during the night. We all probably know this or intuit this chemicals to help us, clean our brain, to help us store memories, to help us cement what we learned.
Yeah.
However, those chemicals are released in different quantities depending on the hour of the day. And the chemicals that are released before midnight tend to weigh more heavily on the cleaning and repair side, and the chemicals released after midnight work more on the storage and recording of learning. And the thing is there's a lot of brain science about, this relationship between not sleeping through the night and cognitive issues later. There's been a lot spoken about with regards to perimenopause because sleeping through the night is always a challenge with hormonal changes. So that one piece of information, like if I want optimum repair and cleaning of my brain, I need to get to bed earlier.
Night.
And
Yeah.
and that's done it for me. Like before, it was a struggle to get to bed before 10. Now I've been getting to bed between 9 and 9:30, like easily. So
Awesome. Yeah, that's great. That's great.
yeah, you
Yeah.
know where that information is going to come from.
That's a perfect example, right? It's that one little chunk of information that makes all the difference. So check out that cheat sheet that we have out there if you're struggling with the idea of prioritizing yourself and getting yourself into some kind of self-care that is really restorative for you. If you need some more evidence to and also, of course, the cheat sheet isn't just about the facts, but also we give you a bunch of small little steps to start with, right? We're not talking about get up an hour early and do this whole elaborate thing. Small little steps, which kind of like anchor you into this new idea, hopefully, that'll start taking hold of self-care, being healthcare, and that you're worth it and you should prioritize yourself.
Yeah.
That
And
is
how
our
how
PSA.
small are these steps? We give you
Tiny.
3 steps. It takes you less than 2 minutes to do all 3. Okay. And that might not seem like much, but the science supports starting super teeny. So we give you super teeny.
Super teeny. You can't
Super
like
teeny.
so that your
That sounds like a
resistance.
drink. The
Super
super
teeny. Yeah,
teeny
super teeny. Do you want that dry or
on the
on the
rocks.
rocks? Oh, the virgin super teeny. Thanks.
It's an acai pomegranate chia
Ooh.
seed
Whoa.
with a splash of lime. The
uh,
super teeny. Oh
that
my
kind of
gosh.
sounds good,
Yeah,
honestly.
I think we need to have this on Saturday when we go out. Okay. Today's topic is how to pick the perfect planner. The perfect planner. And the first thing we want to say is that there is no one perfect planner. The
Mhm.
perfect planner is the one that you will use.
Exactly. Right? Yeah. Bam. That's it. That's it. So we're going to share with you, the things that we look out for when picking a planner, and why we look out for them and why we think that they're important. But again, if it's a planner, if it's something you're going to use, when we first started this journey, Allegra had put out, hey, everybody, send me, like if you have a planner you don't use anymore, an old planner or a planner that you started using but didn't, can I grab them? And I want to take a look at them because we wanted to
Yeah.
just take a look at all different kinds. And my goodness, we saw everything from like your regular everyday, like $25 planner to like a $300 custom,
Custom planner.
custom planner that this person maybe got through half of February. You know what I mean? And then they
Yeah.
just, maybe that might even be generous. So, ultimately, again, if it's something, if you're just good at like, you want to just use something from Staples for, $10, great,
Mhm.
awesome, whatever. But we're going to give you the things that we look out for in finding or looking for, and then using the perfect planner.
And there's 3 tips, and these are 3 steps. And so step 1 is pick a good exterior. And what does that look like? An exterior that is enticing to you. Natasha and I, our favorite brand is this exterior that has a very, I call it, has a very talisman-like property to me. Like, it makes me want to interact with it. It's like, "Ooh,
I know, right? Isn't it
I'm."
pretty? I just love
Yeah.
this.
It's so pretty.
Yeah.
It has built-in affirmations. I love the illustrations. So that is step 1, is pick a good exterior in terms of something that you want to spend time with. If you are all about the LBD, the little black dress, okay, go for the
Go
LBD.
for it. Hmm.
The other thing too is that in terms of the perfect exterior, look for one that is a good size. I like the bigger size planner. So for those listening to the podcast, I'm looking at a planner that is basically like the size of a page, 8.5 by 11, versus one that is about 2/3 that size. So it can fit into a purse, the 2/3 one. But for me, the 2/3 one is just a little too small for everything I need to write down.
Yeah, and like I made the mistake of ordering the smaller one this year, and I was like, all right, I'm going to try and do it. But let me tell you, it just wasn't it just wasn't the right size. So I'm going back to like that fuller size one, and
Yeah.
mostly because now I also love how sleek and stuff this is. But in years past, I'd gotten a bright colored one like you have, like
Mhm.
this, like rose gold or like a
Right.
turquoise. And that is also the thing about this, as sleek and cool as this looks, when I put this on top of my black binder, it disappears on my desk. You know what I mean? And
Oh.
so it became hard. It's smaller, and it became harder for me because I'm the visual cue of like, oh, open your planner, take a look at your planner
Yeah.
today. It I really do need that visual cue, and so it being
Yeah.
smaller and it being black did not work for me as well this year. And
Yeah.
so I recommend, if you're somebody who needs visual cues, if you're going and looking at your planner isn't like a habit that you've um, already established on the daily basis, get something that screams at you. Like maybe you want a construction orange or
Yeah.
something.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that helps too.
Yeah.
And
And I mean, here's some other planners. You can
mhm,
see they get super bright and colorful, or here's a nice purple leather, a little
yeah,
more elegant, um,
elegant.
elegant.
And if
Or
you're
if you
somebody
like
who, sorry, go ahead. Yeah.
this is like a Franklin planner, right? So much
Yes.
more corporate looking, whatever works for you. But
And
think
if you're
about the
somebody who uses a
size.
digital planner, why are we talking about paper planners in this world of digital age?
Yes,
We
thank you.
really do. And I do use my Google Calendar as well. Like I use a kind of a hybrid system, and my Google Calendar is really just for like appointments, like, especially because I'll get a call while I'm at the grocery store or a text message or something from a client, and I need to put that in right away. I don't have my planner on me, right? So
Right.
the digital, that tool of like my Google Calendar is really invaluable, but I use it in concert with this. This is about life design and life planning. That's what's happening in
Yes.
here. And we get more into that in other stages, but we're talking most about picking a planner. But why a hard copy planner is really for your planning, right? And the
Yes.
digital is really for your like appointments or calendaring.
Or your
And
Zoom links
yeah,
or
your Zoom, right? Exactly. Like,
or
yeah,
to set digital alarms, right?
right. Yeah.
Okay, so the next step is to make sure it has enough pages.
Mm-hmm.
Most planners are really just calendars, and there's no space for note taking or brainstorming or doodling if you like to doodle.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And it's interesting to me that a product this size calls itself a planner when really it's just enough space for basic calendaring. One other tip that I want to give to the moms out there, Natasha has 2 kids, I have 1 kid. I have found that one monthly calendar suffices for keeping track of whatever I need to keep track of for my daughter. However, I have met some parents who like more monthly pages so that they can track their kids' activities separate from their own. And I think that's super smart. And in that case, you might want a planner that is more of a 3-ring binder type of planner so that you can insert those extra monthly pages in there to help keep everything cleaner and work better. Really, it's just about what works for you.
Mm-hmm.
So we have found that approximately 250 pages is good enough to suffice for a year of note taking, planning, calendaring, doodling. There's even a little bit of a scrapbooking component for me for the planners because I'll put in like tickets. So here's this year's planner. I was showing you next year's planner.
So funny. I know this
This
is mine, but look at Allegra's. Like mine is,
yeah,
yeah, yours
yeah.
has been well
So this
loved.
planner used to look like this. I always loved doing an end of year, like, "This is my year that has passed, and here is my new year, what
Your
we
new,
do together."
yeah.
But I do a little bit of scrapbooking where I put in things like, here's a belly band from a restaurant I went to recently that was really yummy, and I did a scavenger hunt, at this art deco building that I went to this weekend. So I'll just put in fun little memories, and that's how my planner ends up. But it starts out as
Love it.
250 pages. And the great thing about 250 pages is that it's enough space to have monthly pages and weekly pages, which we think are really important because monthly is where you kind of have the overview of your appointments. And then daily is where you get into the nitty gritty and put in things
Mm-hmm.
like your exercise time and like, oh, I'm going to call a friend. Like those aren't necessarily things you're going to put in the monthly planner,
Right.
monthly pages. So we do recommend having monthly and weekly pages. And then enough space to brainstorm and note take and scrapbook or doodle if you want. And about
Yeah.
250 is
And if
good.
you're somebody who keeps lists, like, somebody like, well, Allegra just gave me a great book recommendation. I have a page dedicated in here for books that people have recommended, films they've
Yes.
recommended, and just having it all kind of in one place is
Yes.
really helpful. And then it's also kind of fun, like when I go ahead and watch that movie or listen to that book, because I don't really read anymore. I get to like highlight it and say, "Yay, I did that!" So it's kind of nice. It's fun. I love that you use it as a scrapbook. I have attempted to. I haven't been as disciplined about actually gluing stuff in there. I've stuck some things in pages, but what a great way to, if you're not somebody who is like a scrapbooker, because that's like a whole nother level of,
Yes.
of crafting and whatnot, but you
Right.
still also would enjoy tokens of those memories. How great, because also, things start to meld together. You look back and you're like, when did I go see that show or whatever? It's
Yeah.
there. It's fun.
Well, and the scrapbooking part kind of touches on tip number 3, which is look for specialty pages like habit trackers and review pages built into the planner. Now, it's not in you can find habit trackers in maybe 10% of planners. Review
Mm-hmm.
pages, I've only seen in like 2 or 3 brands. And our favorite brand does have it, and I'll pop up our favorite brand. This is it. This is the one that I've been using for, I don't know, 7, 8 years, the better part of a decade. And it comes in many different colors, has many different designs. They even have just simple black, but they include habit trackers and review pages. Now, what's a habit tracker? A habit tracker is a way to keep track of things that you're trying to work on, such as drinking 8 glasses of water, going to bed before 10 p.m., exercise, that sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's just an opportunity for you to check it off, you know, and keep yourself accountable because that's
Right.
where you really like are living your life in the daily, right?
Mm-hmm.
Review pages are something where at the end of each month and at the end of the year, you kind of look back on the month and year and see what you've done, what you've learned, what you haven't done, what you'd like to do more of. It's just an opportunity for reflection. And I find that it's a little bit of an advanced portion of the planner. I know it's something that even after decades of using planners, I really resisted at first. And now I just absolutely love it because Oprah has a saying like, celebrate, the more you celebrate, the more you have to celebrate. It really does just make me
True.
more aware of like it just makes me really grateful when I do my monthly review. And it
Yeah, for
also makes me
sure.
aware of the things I wanna work on.
It really does help, and because we're how many times a year do you find yourself like, oh my God, it's end of October already? Oh my gosh, it's Halloween already? And if you haven't taken the time, and we're talking about, we do it for an hour, so like you think about how many hours you have in a month, um, and you could get it to the point where you do it even quicker than that if
Mhm.
if that becomes but to just do it and to take stock and say, this is what I did this past week, this past month. These are the accomplishments. These are the things I wanted to do, I didn't do. Because next thing you know, another month's going to go by. And if there really is something that's important to you, or that you want to start establishing a new habit about, taking stock at the end of each month is such a great way to keep yourself on track.
Yes. And actually, we have a monthly course correct that we've done as a podcast. If you're listening to the podcast notes, I'll pop that down below. But Natasha and I have come up with our own monthly review. It's a 2-pager. And what's great about I just print them up and put them in the back of my planner. What's great about doing my semi scrapbooking, if you will, is that when I go back to do my monthly review, it makes it really easy to see like, oh, here are some of the cool things I've done because
Mm-hmm.
I have the tickets or the stubs or the photographs that I put in here. Uh, so that makes it easy for me to go back and review. And again, it just goes to Oprah's saying of, like the more that you celebrate, the more you have to celebrate. My planner, it's not just a place for me to do work. It's really kind of like a document of my life. I don't journal, if you will. This is kind of my journal. And so that's what it does for me doing that.
Right.
Um,
It's great. It has multiple uses, right? Scrapbook, planner,
yeah,
journal. Yeah, it has, you can use it that way where you have like,
notebook.
it does like triple duty easily.
Yes.
Hmm.
By the way, if you're into bullet journaling, and for those of you who don't know what that is, bullet journaling is when you take a blank notebook and you turn it into a planner. Again, just look for something about 250 pages. There are so many tutorials on how
Oh my
to
goodness.
bujo, as it's called, bujo, bujo. Uh, I aspire to bujo someday.
I mean, that's a whole nother level. It's
That's
awesome. It's great. I
yeah.
mean, it's fun. And I've bought before Allegra turned me on to this planner. I bought a Bujo with a bullet journal with the intention of setting it up, and
Yeah.
making it really cute and pretty and stuff. I did not get very far, but man, they're
Yeah,
cute.
so here's like
They're
a
fun.
very basic bujo layout for like a calendar. There's so many people who do it and do it well that if you have the artistic inclination and time to want a bujo, check it out. It looks super fun. I wish I had the bandwidth, maybe in 5 or 10 years.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah. So those are our tips for how to pick a perfect planner. remember, the perfect planner is the one that you're actually using. So step 1, pick a good exterior, both in look and size. Step 2, make sure it has enough pages. And then step 3, look for some of these specialty pages like habit trackers and review pages, because those just really help you stay accountable and stay on track for the year.
Also, one little pro tip, and because not everybody knows about this, and it was a revelation to me a couple of years ago, that you can look out for weekly planners that start on a Sunday or a Monday. A lot of different planners have that option. So take a look and just say, is this, and are you a person that thinks of your week in terms of Monday through Sunday, or are you a person that thinks Sunday through Saturday? So you can have those different options. That was a revelation to me, that I could have a weekly planner that started on a Monday. I always just thought, oh, it's going to be Sunday to Saturday, right? And for me, that just makes more sense to my mind. So you know, take a look at that too. If that's something that you think might be a factor for you, they're out there. There are planners that start on Monday. So
yes, great tip. Thank you so much for joining us this week. We will see you next week at the same time, or again, if you want to listen to us as a podcast, go to the Harness the Power of Planning podcast wherever you listen, and be sure to like and subscribe. It helps, with the algo.
The algo.
The algo. Thanks for joining us. Dream wild, wild dreamers. Thanks for joining us for the Harness the Power of Planning podcast. Be sure to like and subscribe wherever you listen.